blankets turned dark and wet in a way that made my stomach lurch. It was the worst thing I've ever seen, and I'm glad I don't remember more of it. My father stayed in the hospital for weeks. We didn't visit him much that spring because my mother said it was no place for children. He came home with a stump wrapped in white gauze, half of his leg gone. He couldn't move around and needed help with everything. We lived on the 3rd floor of our building, which meant that once he got into the apartment, it was really hard for him to leave because there was no elevator. My father was angry and tired all the time, probably because he was in a lot of pain. He was at his worst when his pain medications wore off or when my mother was fixing up his bandages. My mother changed the dressings on his stump every 2 days. She would wipe the crust off the raw, fleshy part and rewrap it as gently as she could. It was gruesome to look at. I saw it a few times, and after that, I would make up some excuse to leave the room any time she undid the gauze strips. Eventually, the end turned into knobby skin, and my father didn't seem to be as angry. Instead, he turned into a ghost. I don't mean that he died, but that he could be in a room and people hardly knew he was there. If he talked, it was in a light whisper. Most of the time, he stayed in the bedroom he shared with my mother. When he got a little better, he would come out once every couple of days, but avoided all conversation by saying his leg hurt. It gave him a good excuse to be alone and to sleep, which is all he wanted to do. I suppose he was trying to forget, too. Since my father got hurt, he couldn't work as a police officer anymore. I miss seeing my father smile and having him hold my hand when we walked through the market. I didn't realize how proud I was of him until he lost his uniform. This fall, much more has changed than the color of the leaves. We had to pack up and move to the village to be closer to my father's brothers so they could help us out. And living in an apartment at the top of 3 flights of stairs wasn't a great idea for a man with 1 leg. We moved from Kabul to a village in the middle of nowhere, and that's where we live now, in a dry valley. Most of the red, orange, and gold leaves have turned brown under the feet of villagers. My father grew up here, but moved to Kabul, where my mother's family lived, as a young man. Life in Kabul was so much better. Our apartment had a balcony, which I really liked because I could see everything that was happening in the street or in the balconies below us. I loved leaning over the railing and watching drivers roll down their windows and yell at each other, their cars just inches apart. My school in Kabul was in a really nice building. It was messed up so badly during the war that they had to rebuild a lot of it. We had blackboards and desks and a playground with swings. The village is far from Kabul and very different. There aren't as many people, and there are nowhere near as many cars. Families live closer to each other, and there are no apartment buildings. We live in a small home close to my uncle's houses. Our village home has a courtyard, but there's nothing exciting to see there unless you like watching clothes dry on a line. My eldest uncle takes care of his younger siblings, plus his own wife and children. That's the way things go. The oldest boy in the family is the one who's responsible for looking after everyone. He's sort of like the backup father. But my family doesn't have a son, which means we don't have a backup father. Like our Kabul apartment, our village home has an everything room, which is basically our living room, but more. Our everything room in Kabul was painted yellow, but the one in our new home doesn't look like it's been painted at all. We moved all that we had in our old everything room into our new everything room. Here in the village, we have a single television against the wall with a DVD player, which we use to watch pirated movies we bought from street vendors in Kabul. The only problem is, we can't do.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.